welcome to the Galloway and Isabel podcast. My name is Thomas Galloway. Today I'm here with Caeden Da Silva. How are you doing today, Caeden?
Pretty good.
Good, okay. So it's been a while since I've done one of these podcasts. It's not the Law podcast, so I'm going to just kind of see if I can remember a little bit about our sponsorship. So this podcast is brought to you by Morning Bell Coffee Roasters. You can find Morning Bell on Main Street in Ames, Iowa. You can order online as well. They really like to get a lot of their sales online, and they're expanding as well. They're expanding their shop into the front part, into the salon area, so it's going to be maybe 3 times the size it used to be. They'll have that renovation finished sometime in the spring, so check out Morning Bell Coffee Roasters. But now we'll get to our podcast. We have a lot of different things to talk about. We're going to talk about a variety of topics. So another podcast we were working on was A Day in the Life, and the point of this podcast, we didn't really get too far into it. We started a few episodes. The point of this podcast was to tell people about, have guests tell about their daily lives. And so I'd like to go through your daily routine. We were talking a little bit before we started about planning your day the night before. So start out for me. What do you do the night before your day to help you get started for the day?
All right, so the night before, I get home from school and I get all my homework done. I get all my homework done.
Right.
And I have some supper. And then hop in the shower. And then I stretch or meditate.
Right.
I was stretching and then I kind of switched over to meditation.
Right.
Just recently. And then I go to sleep. But while I'm sleeping, I put on this, I have this video downloaded. And it's about your subconscious. So because when you're 5, up until you're 5, your subconscious mind is it's still developing, still growing.
Right.
And so when you're constantly told you're trash, you suck, all that kind of negative stuff.
Right.
Up until you're 5, that gets implanted in your subconscious, and that's what you go about your life thinking every day. So that's why some people have a really hard time with in their social lives, is because they don't really think that well about themselves. So yeah, and so what that video is you can do a lot of different stuff. So if you want to get better at, if you want to have more confidence, if you want to be able to talk to people in public, or you want to just have those positive thoughts about you're good, I got this, I can do this. Mm-hmm. You can do that, but mine's for sports. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I can show it to you
yeah, for sure.
In a sec, but
yeah. I've heard that visualization is the one common theme in all great athletes, to be able to visualize what's going to happen. I was supposed to say, for listeners who don't know, you're a freshman in high school.
Yeah.
And so I've always been impressed at the stuff that you're consuming, the stuff that you realize this improves me as a person. Mm-hmm. And most people don't really get into that until they're in college or later, or if they ever do at all. And I remember one time you were talking about people your age weren't really they're thinking why are you doing this? Why are you looking at self-help, self-improvement stuff? Uh-huh. But at some point they're going to. Yeah. And you're going to be way ahead because you have been, since you started high school.
Yeah.
So I think that's really impressive. You're talking about having a general idea of what your day is going to look like before you start it. What do you do the night before that helps you?
Right before I go to bed, right before I go to sleep, while I'm listening to that too, I go on my phone and I make a checklist on Notes, the Notes app.
Right.
And I from the start of my day to the end of my day, I write down kind of a general idea.
Right.
If I know I'm doing something at a certain time, then I'll write what I'm doing at that certain time. But if I don't, I just give the general idea of what I'm doing so that my schedule is more flexible.
Right, for sure.
So if something pops up.
Yeah, a good resource for people to check out is Google Keep, which I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, but it's basically a note-keeping app. But it gives you checklists, and you can set it up. I have mine here, and then if you get the app on your phone and you check something off on your phone, it'll check it off on your desktop because everything's connected.
Yeah.
So if you're working on something here, I have stuff to do today, stuff to do in March, and all that stuff, it checks it off, and and you can create a bunch of notes, and it syncs up with your phone. So you, it's really handy. Google Keep. So I'd recommend people checking that out.
Yeah.
Okay, so then first thing you do, you wake up. What time are you generally waking up?
6:30.
6:30? Okay.
Wake up. Sometimes 7, depending like how tired I am.
Right. What do you do right when you get up?
Right when I get up, I go downstairs, I make some breakfast, and I sit down, and I watch football film.
Nice.
So, because I'm going to go to the NBA, or not NBA, the NFL. And so, I like to watch film and just get as much knowledge in the game as I possibly can. So,
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So you watch all film, okay, and you're doing that all year round, even when you're not football season. Nice.
Yeah,
Nice. I like that.
Because you gotta keep it up.
Right. For
If
sure.
you stop something, then you lose it. So.
Yeah. You have breakfast?
What?
Do you have breakfast?
Yeah.
Nice. What do you have for breakfast usually?
Usually eggs and some sort of fruit, and sometimes I make like a smoothie with
Nice.
Just frozen strawberries or frozen pineapple, and then I slice a banana and put it in there, and then milk,
Right.
grind it.
And then when do you have to be at school?
I have to be at school 8:10.
Okay.
So I leave 7:45-ish around there.
Right. Yeah, and then you have school at like 3, and then you have practice some
Yeah.
sort afterwards. Yeah.
Till 3:20, and then practice for track. Track right now, track. So yeah.
Right. So what do you like to do after you finish up your practices in the evening? How do you like to relax?
Well, right after practice for track this year, I'm gonna do this like the rest of my high school career, but I want to do as well as I can in track, and so. Right after track practice, I go to the safe room. My friend, Malik, shout out to Malik, he's my guy. But we go to the safe room and we high jump. We just high jump. We get our reps down. We get our form down, and I don't know. I stayed there for like 3 hours, like just high jumping, like getting reps down, that kind of thing.
Right.
And it's fun. I like it. I like it a lot. But yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes we bump some music, and
Right.
so it's fun. Yeah.
Yeah, you're talking about meditation and using that as a pretty effective tool I think a lot of people use it for different reasons.
Yeah.
Would you use like a certain app, or how do you go about it?
Headspace. If you're looking for an app, Headspace. Yes.
Headspace is really good. Yeah. There's a lot of really good guided meditations that do a good job of keeping you relaxed and helping you with those aspects, but also just not really using anything can be really effective as well, and just breathing and trying to only focus on your breath.
Yeah.
Because it basically is training you to stay in the moment, to not let your thoughts get carried away on other things, and that is really effective if you do it in the morning, and then throughout the day every time you start to get on some kind of snowball with your thoughts getting out of control, you think about that breathing and just trying to focus on the moment, and it really does help. And I think the guided meditations to help you relax are really effective.
Yeah.
But I think that building up your ability to not get distracted in the first place with absolutely no assistance whatsoever is really helpful as well.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Yeah, so I think for people who are wanting to get into meditation, any way you can get into it is good.
Yeah.
Like, nobody's really expecting to start out with no app, with no help whatsoever, just like in your own head. It's really difficult, and a lot of people really never get there. But so doing any kind is profitable. But ideally, I personally think ideally you get to the point where you don't need anything at all. You're just with yourself and just like trying to get those thoughts out of your head. And one effective method of like not getting too caught up in a certain thought is to, and we talked about this a while ago, is thinking about each distracting thought is like a cloud that's coming by. So it's like coming into your left, and you see it, and you just like let the thought go by. Like it's a cloud going by.
That's what Headspace teaches you to do. Like those clouds or those cars, just like sitting there and just watching the cars go by, not thinking about anything, just watching the cars go by. Yeah,
and people there's like one scene in Parks and Rec where Rob Lowe's character is like really really excited that Ron Swanson couldn't think of anything because the goal is to think of nothing.
Yeah.
And people kind of like, why are you trying to think of nothing? Mm-hmm. And the idea is just not to get caught up in outside thoughts that distract you and like keep you from focusing on the moment.
Yeah, and nobody really feels good when like you can't focus because you're like your thoughts are scattered.
Right.
And no one feels good.
Right. Yeah, and when you are like not in the moment, you're always going to be in a position of like preferring some other situation. Mm-hmm. And I was reading a book that was talking about like the one downside of being in the moment more often is like when you're working out, it sucks more. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But also the good moments, you enjoy them more. Mm-hmm. And you're not always looking for something to be a little bit better because you're just like, okay, this is just the way it is. Yeah. I'm going to deal with it. And the one I think one thing we're both probably pretty aware of is you don't want to be like the goal of meditation is to be happy with the moment. Yeah. But you don't always want to be too happy with it because that keeps you from going for something better.
Yeah, I've had it wasn't as bad as like that where it stopped me from doing something like great, but I had a couple of days like I had it was literally the best day of my life. It was amazing in like every way, and like for a week or two, it took me like at least a week or two to get out of that day just to like. Right. I don't know what it was, man, but it took me like a week or two to just get out of that day and just focus on it now. But
right, yeah, the good moments can hold you back in a weird way. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, it's like if you go talk to a girl and you get her number, and then you just like don't care about getting anybody else's number for a long time. Like it's just okay, I got somebody's number, so then you don't think about it. It is strange how our mind plays tricks on us, both in good and bad ways. But I guess that's just like the constant battle is like trying to calm everything that's going on in your head. So use meditation. You're going high jumping after track practice as well. What do you do after you get done with all your working out and stuff?
For my working out, can I just say just one more thing about that? One more thing about
that. Yeah, definitely.
If you're in sports, like before my football games or before my track meets, before my football games when I'm in the locker room, I'll meditate. It like doesn't even have to be that long, just like 5 minutes. And then during the day, at lunch, I eat my lunch and then I'll go. Like if it's a game day, eat my lunch. I'll go and I'll lay down. Just get your rest. Get your mind. Right. Your mind good, and then before your games, meditate. It does wonders for being able to focus and just not being distracted by everything else.
Yeah, that's really cool.
During the game,
I think the visualization aspect of that is really important. Yeah. I remember we had one like basketball trainer who was telling us to just like picture the first 5 minutes of the game the way you would want them to go. Yeah, and it really does help. In the if you have problems with some people, just like they're not thinking about anything, they're not visualizing going bad or good. They just go start and they just play. But some people, they will visualize it going badly. Like they will like not good accidentally start. Yeah, they'll just like think, oh, what if things go bad? Yeah. What if the first couple minutes of the game I turn the ball over? Like we don't want that. What if I mess up? And so if anything, visualizing the positive aspect of something, it just like neutralizes any negative thoughts you might have.
Yeah, I have a couple of friends that like I've been trying to get them to like just to be more positive, just to think especially when you're working out, when you're trying to get new PRs, and when you're in games and kind of like that kind of stuff in practice, especially, you want to think more positive thoughts. You want to think like I got this, like I'm the best, like you don't want to be like too cocky, but you wanna in your own head you want to be the best.
Right, definitely. Yeah, if you don't, you're doing yourself a disservice.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think that's a good opportunity so you're just starting your high school career. Yeah. You just finished up your first year and about 2/3 way. Yeah. What are some things you like to, even if you haven't thought about this before, maybe you have, you probably have. Yeah. What are some things you like to get accomplished by the end of your high school career?
Something like, okay, so I definitely thought about that one.
Yeah, I figured.
I want to be the best.
Right.
I want to be the best to ever go through DeVita. But I know that'll be tough. I have to work out a lot, and I gotta be focused. Yeah. And just stay on track. Right. I wasn't the best person coming into high school. Like I would mess around a lot in class, but I'm definitely trying to change that now. Right. I think I've changed a lot since the beginning. Yeah. But yeah, That's
cool. Yeah. What do you football wise, what do you guys, as a team and as an individual, what do you want to have accomplished by the end of it?
I want to win state.
Right.
I want to win state. I think we can definitely do that by my senior year. I think
Right.
we'll definitely be able to. I have a really good quarterback. Shout out to James Edwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's amazing. He helps me out a lot in the summer.
Right.
And yeah.
So what do you think it's going to take from you and your teammates to get to that point? What are some things you guys need to do during the season, during the off season? Do you need, how often do you guys need to be meeting up and running routes and stuff during the off season to get that accomplished? What do you expect out of you and everybody else?
Out of myself, I expect the best. So
Right.
I expect myself to get my schoolwork done, to get those good grades, to go out and practice every day, to get other people to come and practice with me.
Right.
I expect that from myself. I expect the best. It doesn't always happen. So I beat
Right.
myself up sometimes about that, but I mean everybody has their off days, but
Yeah.
you got to have more on days and off days.
Definitely.
And for my teammates, I expect them to give it a shot, and try and work out and give the mindset of I want to be the best a shot before you get out of high school.
Right.
Because you'll never get high school back, and you want to make it the best.
Right.
The best you possibly can. So for my teammates, I expect that we're every day that you can. Mm-hmm. The sport that you want to be great in, I expect that they would go and they would practice that. And from my football teammates, I would expect that every time they can, they would come work out with me and my friend James. And we're having in the summer, I have some friends that are in college. I'm Unique, Wickerson, and then Matt Chitty. Mm-hmm. They both play in college. And I worked out with and Matt Chitty during the summer a lot. And so we're doing this thing where we're getting together. It's me, James, Unique, his brother Malik, and Matt Chitty, and we're getting together. And I've invited everybody on my team. So
Right.
I'm going to do that. I'm going to invite everybody on my team to come and practice with us.
Yeah.
So we can get better, and so we can eventually win state. But
That's good. Yeah. I think throughout life, the worst thing you can do is not shoot for max potential.
yeah,
You always have to go for what is the best we can be, and
Yeah.
if we don't know if we can be that good,
Yeah.
who cares? Just go for it.
yeah. And if you it's like shooting a target. Like if you miss, who cares?
Yeah.
You tried.
Yeah, you tried.
Yeah.
There's a great, I don't know, maybe we'll actually, let's just do this right now. I'm gonna read you everyone a quote by Teddy Roosevelt. It's called "The Man in the Arena." I have to Google it first.
Okay.
But it is quite possibly the greatest quote I've ever heard, and it's basically about LeBron James has it hanging in his locker room. Has had it hanging in his locker room for 10 years now.
Yeah.
And it's one of the best quotes I've ever heard about just going for it. And if you mess up, fine. But as long as you go for it, that's all that matters. And I'm going to find it real quick and read it to you guys. Because it's not super short, but I think it's really important. And this is a podcast, and we can do whatever we want.
Yeah.
So we're going to read it. Okay. Here we go. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat.
That's an amazing quote. I love
That's a
it.
great quote.
Michael Jordan has one like that.
Yeah.
He has one.
I
It's shorter, but
Right.
but he has one like that.
For you can really see how someone like LeBron, this would really ring true for them because they're
Yeah.
always criticized by so many people who have never really done anything, but they criticize him. And And he's just like, well, I'm out there actually doing. I might be failing, but at least I'm trying.
Yeah.
I'm doing stuff, and to never like give people who are criticizing you too much credit or like listen to them too much. That's incredibly valuable. And I think even for people in high school, like there's gonna be people who criticize you who say like, oh, why are you guys trying for that? Who cares? Like
I've had a lot of people say that. Like,
right. And they're gonna and like if you say some kind of bold dream, like a statement about trying to win state or whatever, like they're just gonna say
like,
oh okay bro, whatever.
Yeah.
But those people should not occupy your mind more than like 10 seconds. You should let just like because they don't know, they haven't tried, and a lot of people who do say stuff like that wish they had the boldness to try. They just don't want to. So just go for whatever your max potential. Yeah. And if you fall short, as the quote says, who cares? Like that's the way it goes.
Yeah. And I've had a lot of people laugh at me and just like some people talk smack. I've had some people talk smack and be like, yeah, you can't do that. I just laugh it off because like we were playing the game the other day and someone was talking smack and I knew I was better than them. Like the only reason they were talking smack is because they knew I was better than them.
Right.
And I just laughed it off because I knew I was better than him and he was just saying that to just say that because
Right. Yeah, you give all your effort, you do the best you can, and then win or loss, then you did. You gave all you could. And that is we always talk about like teams that win a lot, they don't like teams that go 16-0 during the regular season NFL and then they lose in the playoffs because they or they go 15-1 or 14-2 or whatever, some really good record because they didn't have too many opportunities to improve.
Yeah.
And they just kept winning and they said, okay, we're fine.
Yeah.
And then teams on the opposite end of that, they lose a lot, but they're constantly looking for ways to improve. So like the worst thing you can do is to say like, oh, we did good or bad just because we won or lost. Like you can do bad and still win, and you can do good and still lose. Yeah. You just have to look at it as like we did the best we could. We gave maximum effort. And then even if you win, if there's opportunities to improve, you still need to do that. I think if I had to look back in high school and say like one recommendation for my career, it would be even when you win, still look for opportunities to improve. Because especially for younger people, like when you win, you just think everything's good, but there's still ways to improve. And that would be probably actually the main thing that I would say looking back. And then just the thing we were just talking about, just going for what you think you can, or even if you don't think you can make it, still go for it.
Yeah. We went undefeated. Going off of that, we went undefeated this year in football. I told you that a while ago, but yeah, we went undefeated in football. And
For the people.
Yeah, for the people. And just the mindset. Going undefeated, it's if you have a good team, like if you have some athletic people on your team, the rest is just mindset.
Right.
Because honestly, I'd say the hardest part of going undefeated is like, let's say you have 12 games. It's that sixth game of the season where like you feel like you're on top of the world. Like, oh, we don't need to practice. Like we're the best. Like even if the team sucks, like that our team's like 0-6 already. Right. It's keeping that mindset of this team is gonna have some good players. Every team has a good player, at least one good player. And I tried to keep the mindset of, and there's some people on my team I tried to give that mindset to as well, of just like keeping that mindset of just we got to prepare. Like even though the team sucks, we still got to prepare. There's going to be at least one kid out there, and we got to prepare still. And I just tried to stay focused and not think too much about like how good our team was. The only time I really gave some thought about to how good we actually were was at the end of the season when it was all over, when we went undefeated. I chose not to think about it during the season because I didn't want to screw up my mindset of thinking I'm the best, like I don't need practice. Right. Because everybody needs practice. LeBron James, he still practiced for hours in the offseason, hours every day. So.
Yeah. I mean, bringing meditation full circle here, bringing it back into it.
Yeah.
That's essentially what it's helping you do, is realizing like, okay, fine, we won the first 5 games or 6 games, But this is if you meditation treats you to treat every moment, every game, every play as its own thing.
Yeah.
And you just do the best you can in that moment. And then you're not thinking about. Then that helps you not get too caught up in, oh, we've done really good so far. We're gonna be fine. We don't have to prepare. So that's another place where meditation would help, is just that, focusing on the moment, the individual play, doing your best you can. I think that would help a lot of people. Is there anything else to talk about here with sports? I mean, there probably is.
Oh, there's a lot of time. There's a lot to talk about sports.
If we talk about something and it leads us back to sports, how we come back to it?
All right, yeah. Let's do it.
All right, so we were talking a little about marriage earlier.
Oh, yeah.
All right, give me some of your thoughts on that.
So marriage. My personal opinion, I don't really like it.
Yeah.
Just because it brings the law into love,
Right.
which is something you don't really want to like. You don't want to mess with that. Like it. My opinion should be it should be pure. Like you shouldn't bring money or government, anything into that, because once you get married, there's all this legal stuff, and if you try and get divorced, it takes forever, and you have to pay for lawyers, and you have to pay for her lawyer, or she has to pay for your lawyer. It doesn't end well. And my view on that is you can still hang out with someone. You can sleep with someone. You can do all the stuff you could do when you're married. You can do that without even getting married per se. Just because, which I think is probably what I'm gonna do. Just because I don't want to have all of that extra stuff in messing with that, and
I feel you.
This is my view.
Yeah, I feel you. I'm probably not getting married for a really long time.
Yeah.
I don't really see it happening. I'm just gonna be really focused on other things.
And if I do get married, it's gonna be when I'm 30, because I don't want to get married when I'm 25 and not be able to do some of the stuff that I could have done if I wasn't married.
Right. Yeah, I feel like I'm gonna be in the same boat. 30 is probably a good age, if not a little later.
Yeah.
I mean, I think one thing people don't realize is or they realize it, but they're not thinking about it, is that's your entire life.
Yeah.
It's a long time.
It's a long time, it is.
And if you're not mentally prepared for that, if you're thinking about it as in oh, this feels good, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Well, you might not.
Yeah, my biggest problem with that is when people get married and they're just oh, we're having the time of our lives right now, when they're at the peak of just loving each other, they decide to get married right now, but then it backfires 2 seconds later. It's I don't want to be with this person anymore.
Right.
It's
Right. One thing any psychologist who studies long-term pair bonding will tell you is that the first 3 years are where it's at its peak.
Yeah.
And after that, it takes serious work. And it takes just a little bit of research into people who have studied marriage to tell you that. It really doesn't. But I really do think, and maybe people who are listening to this will change their mind a little bit now. I really do think most people aren't looking at it that way.
Yeah.
They're seeing it as something that oh, it's really good now. It'll be basically the same, if not a little better, because we'll get to know each other more.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of work. And, I mean, to be fair, I obviously don't know what I'm talking about as far as long-term marriage. As far as, but then again, nobody really does either. I just think people, especially people who are basically our age, who are thinking about this next few years, just every decision you make, think about it as in, okay, this is 50 years, basically, unless you're perfectly fine with being divorced and starting again, that, and that's fine, whatever.
Some people are like that too.
It's they just jump into things and
they move on quick.
Yeah. So I mean, if that's you, whatever. We're just talking.
Yeah.
But,
it's a big topic.
Right. I don't know how far to dive into this.
Yeah. And with girls in marriage too, like most like it's with girls, it's a lot of like social peer pressure. Like to get married, have children, that's just like the society is like pounded
Right.
and pounded just
Yeah.
like on girls to like not be slutty, like not go date this guy and then I don't like him, so I'm gonna go date this guy
Right.
a week later or a day later. It's like, who cares? Like, it's
Yeah.
just a lot of stuff like that.
Yeah, I have a that fortunately there's less peer pressure on women to get, and people in general, but especially women. I have an interesting stat here. Okay. People between the age, I retweeted this like a couple months ago. People between the ages of 21 and 36 who had never been married. In 1965, is only 17%. So so 54 years ago, only 1 out of 5 people had not been married in that age group. That's barely any. Most people married who were 21 to 36.
And it was very, like, you respected. You respected a lot. Like if you were married, when you get married, like back then when you would get married, wow, I just lost the word. Respected. They were
Right.
respected a lot more when you were married and you had kids, just because it was the social norm.
Right,
Just because peer pressure, that kind of thing. Well, not really peer pressure, but like just social
Pressure in general.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so 17% in 1965. 2 years ago in 2017, it went from 17% to 57%. So like almost 3 out of 5 people have not been married in 21 through 36.
Yeah.
So basically, people are mostly agreeing with us.
Yeah.
They're not
And-
really getting married.
Yeah. And I thought, like, I just thought of this right now. Like, that's probably why people back then, like, had bad parents. Is because people would be like, oh, I like this girl. Like what we were talking about earlier. Like, oh, I like this girl. I'm going to get married now.
Yeah.
And back then, like, there was, like, no divorce. Like,
Right.
they didn't divorce very often. And so they would stay in that. And even if they hated their wife or their husband, they would stay in that. And then they would just be, like, angry all the time and
Right,
yell at their
right.
kids and stuff. And it's just... It just wasn't good. So, yeah, that's another reason why I'm not getting married till I'm 30, just because I want to experience stuff. Like, I want to meet different people, like all kinds of
Right,
people,
right.
and see, like, what, I guess, like, type of girl, like, I want to get married to and hang out with for the rest of my life.
Yeah, because that's what you're going to be doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess if there's any moral of this story, it's to really consider that it is the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Or it is, that's essentially what you're saying, whether you do or not.
You're saying, I want to be with you for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Like, I want to spend the rest of, like, I want to spend every day with you.
Right. And I don't think it's a good strategy just to say, like, we could just get divorced if it don't
Yeah.
work out. I don't think that's, like, it
That's
shouldn't,
not at all.
just because, like, I mean, obviously it's super common, but I don't think you should rely on that strategy.
Yeah.
What's up, bro?
What's up? It hasn't started yet.
No, the podcast has. We're about 35
Yeah.
minutes into it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, you want it?
My bad.
No, it's all good, play it.
You want to hop in?
Maybe pretty soon.
All right.
Yeah, he's not feeling great, but
All right.
you're welcome to toss us some knowledge if you
Oh,
want.
for sure. I've got a lot.
Yeah, I figured. Yeah, I think some of the fights started at 7, so they just got started.
Okay. 5 minutes.
But there's like still a lot at 9, and so like if you watch for 4 or 5 hours, it's way too much.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, back to the podcast.
Yeah, back to the podcast. Yeah, I really don't have much more on this topic. So like one thing I'm like, okay, so 30 seems like a good, like not before then, but then to also be aware, like if you meet someone who, if you met them 5 years like after 30, you would marry them, like to then be
Yeah.
to not be like, oh, I can't get married to you.
Yeah.
You know, 'cause, like if you meet them when you're 27 or something.
Yeah.
So it's a tough decision. I think on the simple fact that we're treating it like it's a really tough decision is good news, because we're not just going to treat it like something like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll get married to you or whatever.
Yeah.
If you treat it like it's a tough decision, then that's a good strategy.
And if you put a lot more thought into it, you're more likely to stay. Like if you put a lot of more thought into a relationship, you're more likely to stay in it, just because you've spent so much time just thinking about it and like,
Right.
what do I want? Like,
Yeah.
and when you finally find it, it's kind of relief.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's kind of relief.
Right. I wonder how many people who have been like in a relationship for 18 months or 2 years who have just like talked themselves into, oh man, I really don't want to start over.
Mm-hmm.
And got married. I think that's a lot of people.
Yeah.
Like, and I mean, we'd probably know some of them.
Yeah.
Like you just like, oh, that's obviously what's happening there.
Yeah. Or like some people, like for religion, they'll stay in a marriage just because like for their religion.
Right. Right. Hey Noah. Okay, welcome back, everyone. We're gonna finish off with a few different topics. I want to start with working out, and I want to ask like what you generally do and what you'd like to do a little more of in the future.
Yeah. We have a workout program at our high school.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember the name, but I know like kind of like the dude who runs it. He was he was a defensive end for the Washington Redskins.
Gotcha.
And he was pretty good. Ernst. I can't remember his last name, but I have his number. But Ernst something.
Okay.
But they have really good workouts, and their athletic trainers are really good. But just the basics. Like if you can do the basics, like your deadlift, your squat, your bench, your power clean, that's what's going to improve you as an athlete. If you're looking to be a better athlete in weightlifting.
Gotcha.
But
yeah.
if you're looking to like build muscle, there's a whole bunch of different programs you can do.
Right.
And if you know enough about it, you can just create your own workouts, which is kind of what I did in the summer going into high school.
Right.
Is I looked up. That's another thing you could do too. I watched a lot of superstars. I watched a lot of interviews with them, and I watched like a lot of their workouts, and I copied their workouts from that their trainers gave them.
Right.
Like Antonio Brown, his trainer is amazing. I copied some of his workouts, and I used them to improve my athletic ability.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. What I was gonna say. You find the name of that guy?
Yeah, I'm trying. I'm looking. I just have him as Ernst. I can't remember his last name.
That's okay. We'll find it. Okay. So yeah. Well, one thing when I got into college, and I just wanted to keep in shape. I didn't want to like add any muscle or anything.
Yeah.
And I have a hard time adding muscle.
Mm-hmm.
I would just like doing swimming and yoga.
Yeah.
And like I did one summer where I tried to get super healthy and try to get ripped as possible. I got down to like 150, like 150-ish when I was like at 170. Like I lost like 20 pounds in a month and a half.
Yeah.
From 170 down to 150, and I didn't eat that much. I swam and I ran and did some yoga, and it was super intense, it was not sustainable. Like I couldn't do it all year round.
Yeah, that's where a lot of people like go wrong. They think like, oh, I have to go on this like crazy diet, like no cake, no extra sugars, no nothing. But really, it's just eat healthier. And notice how I'm saying eat healthier.
Right.
Just like cut down on a little bit of those sugars, but like you can have a cheat meal or a cheat meal every now and then. And what I do is I eat healthier. I don't like go over the top with these like different diets. It's just, and I've been trying to like gain muscle, like gain weight because I'm gonna be playing varsity next year, and so like I need to catch up with those guys that are like had 4 years of weight training and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, if you're trying to gain weight, it's just about eating more, like a little bit more than you normally do, and eat a lot of protein, that kind of stuff, and just work out a lot.
Right.
That kind of thing.
Yeah. What mindset-wise, what's some things that's gonna have to change for when you go to play varsity next year?
Mindset-wise, like for me personally, or just like in general for like everybody?
In general, but specifically you.
Okay. I'll go in general first. In general, you gotta, I'd say, like, don't be cocky, but like, in your head, like, know you're the best. Like, just repeat that phrase. Like, Muhammad Ali, like, he'd say all the time, I'm the greatest of all time. I'm the greatest of all time.
Right.
And that kind of thing. Mindset-wise. Don't get intimidated. Just don't think about like how big the players are going to be, and don't think about like how strong they will be. Just think about like how, like what you need to do, focus on that. And I forgot. I was gonna say something. I forgot it.
It's all good. It'll come to you.
And
the nice thing about a podcast is we just talk about stuff for a long time.
Yeah.
And then things come to you and you just say it. And
yeah.
yeah, we were talking when we were taking the break about how you should start a podcast.
Yeah. Shit. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a good
and
idea.
like anybody, like really, like it's not that hard. It's super easy. I will help you guys. Anybody else out there that wants to start a podcast, and you need help getting it onto the right places and all that, it's super easy. You just need to know how to do it, and I'll help you guys with that. But like it really does, like a lot of opportunities. As I was telling Caeden, a lot of opportunities I've gotten have come from interviewing people who are important on the podcast and just getting to know them. And it's a good way to get to know people as well. Because like a lot of times, like we've never sat down and talked one-on-one for 45 minutes.
Yeah. We talked one-on-one before. But
right,
not
but
for
not
this
for
long.
40. Yeah. And like with a lot of people, that's, even if you've talked with them for a long time, a lot of times you've been hanging out, you've been doing other stuff, or there've been more than one person. Like you just, it's a really good way to getting to know people.
It is.
And just getting practice, like, because like you know, even though there's not a whole audience with us right now, you know there's like going to be people listening. Yeah. So it feels kind of like public speaking, and it's just like there's so many good things about it. And it's so easy. And you just have to come up with some stuff to talk about.
Yeah, that's
Which,
the way to do it. If you have at least somewhat of a creative mind, then you can.
Yeah, you can do that.
Yeah.
And if you don't, there's tons of stuff online to give you prompts. Like,
yeah.
So I'd recommend people doing that. And yeah, like I said, it's really not that hard to get it onto the right places.
Oh yeah, I remembered what I was gonna say. So back to the varsity thing. Like if you work out a lot, this is something that this is a quote pretty much from Kobe Bryant. He said his confidence, like you know how much confidence he had in his game and like his ability and stuff. He said his confidence came from his work ethic, and everybody that knows something about Kobe Bryant, they know that he went over the top pretty much on working out and making his craft the best it could possibly be.
Right.
And so his confidence came from his work ethic. So if you're in high school, if you develop a work ethic early, it'll automatically transform your confidence. Because I remember I was pretty socially awkward in middle school, but as soon as I started working out, as soon as I started like to get a work ethic, my confidence immediately switched. And that was kind of towards the end of 8th grade when I realized, like I have to, if I want to be great. Like I realized I wanted to be great. I identified what I wanted to do. Right. And then like I realized if I wanted to be great, like I have to work at this. Like there's just no other way. Like you have to work, you have to change your mindset, you have to be the best before you are the best. Right. So
yeah. The thing where people always talk about fake it till you make it.
Yep. That's what you gotta do.
It really does work. It really works.
It does. Yeah. In 8th grade, I remember coming into 8th grade, like I knew I needed to change. I wanted to change. Like, yeah, I wanted to change, and I faked it. I faked it, and now I've made it, so to speak. I can now talk to people about being awkward. Like, I mean, obviously everybody's gonna have those times where it's kind of awkward. But
yeah, everybody is like that for certain times in their life.
Yeah, for me that's the mornings. I'm kind of more awkward in the mornings. I kind of got to get warmed up. But,
I feel you.
Yeah. But so fake it, and when it comes to confidence, fake it till you make it. Like. Yeah.
Just act like you belong in certain situations. Eventually, you will.
Yeah. And then it took me about a year to get of like faking, you could say, till I got to the point where like I can now just relax. I'm now like I don't think about it as much. I'm just like I go with the flow. You know.
Right. Well, back to the Kobe quote. Everything is about repetition.
Yeah.
Doing it over and over again in sports, in social interactions, in public speaking. Public speaking is a good example because like when I was early high school, I was not good at it at all.
Yeah.
But I realized like to be where I wanted to be in certain professions, I had to be good at it.
Yeah.
And so I just took every opportunity that came along to do public speaking, even though I was terrible at it. And gradually I became pretty good at it to the point where I can handle basically any situation that came along. Public speaking wise is no big deal.
Yeah.
And I could persuade people to do things in public speaking situations, and I could, I could be inspiring, persuasive, all that. And if you had like 5 years before that, I was like, oh, there's no chance. Like I'm just trying to get through this book report really fast and sit down.
Yeah. And
I think that's like ultimately one of the things that's most difficult for people. And but it is one of those things that as you do it, you realize like, oh, this is something that I can get much better at.
definitely.
Yeah. What were you gonna say?
So Kobe Bryant, he would practice. When he would practice like his moves. First of all, his moves, like he said, he copied Michael Jordan. So if you want to be, that's another thing too. If you're looking to be great, just watch the greats.
Right.
Just watch their highlight tapes. Watch them.
Right.
And like whatever you're trying to do, like watch the greatest. But like if you're trying to be the best public speaker, like watch a lot of Martin Luther King, that kind of stuff.
Definitely.
And you can copy what they do.
Yeah.
And that's what Kobe did. And back to what I was going to say originally, he would practice everything like it was a game. So his shots, he would practice his shots, his moves, everything like it was in a game and in game time situations. So he would practice game time situations, and then it was just in the game. It was just one more time. It was exactly like practice, except one more time. And he did that like thousands of times. Like it just came automatically.
Right.
We talked about the subconscious earlier, and it was literally impacted into his subconscious mind, just like
Yes.
like
Yeah, there's Malcolm Gladwell, who's one of my favorite authors. He had a section in one of his books about 10,000 hours, which is this theory that if you do 10,000 hours of anything, you become an expert at it, quote unquote expert. But the key is to be similar to the game situation training, is it has to be like rigorous 10,000 hours. It can't just be out there like on your just flat-footed shooting layups for 10,000 hours.
Yeah.
You have to actually go replicate some kind of actual situation with some kind of resistance. But once you do those 10,000 hours, then it just becomes one more, like you said. And you can, I remember we went, like one of the first NBA games we went to, like just the way that some of the guys moved, you're like, oh, that's 10,000 hours right there.
Yeah.
That guy's done that for 10,000 hours. He almost looked bored.
Yeah.
I remember one guy in particular, he just came off the bench. He was like a career bench guy in the NBA. He just came off the bench. He'd been come off the bench for 10,000 hours. He went out there. He'd been playing basketball, moving like he's been doing it for 10,000 hours. And it was really cool to see how smooth he was and looked almost, like I said, bored.
Yeah.
But that's what happens. Like you do something over and over again enough, it becomes boring. But that's when then, if you're bored by something, you're not anxious about it. You're confident in it.
Yeah.
Basically. Yeah, you're like past confident.
Yeah.
You're almost overconfident.
Yeah, sometimes.
But sometimes, yeah. But it's easier to be overconfident and come back to confident than it is to be not confident to go to confident.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I can speak from experience on that.
Right. Yeah.
But I think everybody can. Everybody is at a point in their life where they had zero confidence, I think.
Yeah. And confidence is just really doing something over and over again in a certain area. Like there's people who you see them in one situation that they're not super comfortable in. Like, oh, they're kind of unconfident. But then you see them shooting a bow and arrow or something they're really interested in.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that person's really confident. But if you had just seen them in one of those situations, you'd have you'd assume that's the type of person they were.
Yeah.
That's one thing a lot of people do is make the mistake of seeing someone in one situation, assuming that's their personality.
Yeah.
It might be, but it's probably just a personality in that situation. Now, you do have people who are just generally confident. Like, any situation they're in, they're just like, they just don't care. They're just confident.
Yeah.
And then people are the opposite. But most people are on a spectrum of some sort, where in certain situations they are very confident. Some situations they're kind of confident. Some situations they're not confident at all. And that's perfectly fine. Most people are that way.
Yeah.
And if you weren't, that's kind of superhuman.
Yeah, it's like
it's
aliens if you're not.
Right. Yeah, back to aliens. Yeah, that's basically what it is.
Yeah. There's a coach on YouTube, Mark Parson. He's a cornerback coach.
Okay.
He played in the NFL for the Texans, the New Orleans Saints. He was on that Super Bowl team with that famous interception against Peyton Manning.
Right, just a quarter, yeah.
Yeah. And so he was talking about that 10,000 hours, except he would say 10,000 reps.
Right.
Like 10,000 reps, like good quality reps. And so for me, I took that I took that kind of as a challenge. Like, how many reps can I get during the summer?
Right.
And so I'd go out with Unique. Like I was talking about him earlier. He's he's amazing. But I would go out with Unique. I would go out with James Edwards, and I'd go with my league. And I would. James sometimes didn't want to, but I'd kind of force him to like, play cornerback against me so I could get those 10,000 reps down. And then I'd try and help him
Nice.
as much as I could with his stuff. But yeah, I'd go out as much as I could with them, and I would try and get those 10,000 reps in. I would see how many reps I could get in, and just because your confidence, it truly does come from how much you've done something and how like the quality of it.
Yeah.
It comes from doing it over and over. Your work ethic, pretty much. So.
Yeah. It's just repetition.
Yeah.
I think. Thank you. Noah's contribution to the podcast has been coughing every so often.
Yeah.
And just like, so yeah, shout out.
Letting people know he's still there.
Yeah, true. He's letting us know.
I'm still here, guys.
Do we have anything else to talk about?
Oh, we could talk about a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
We could talk more about relationship or like girls or something. I don't know. It doesn't matter, maybe.
I like the idea. Let's start that. And the next time we do a podcast, let's start with that. The like girls and approaching girls and all that stuff.
Oh yeah, and I got one thing like before we end it or something.
Yeah, for sure.
Go move on to the next topic. How you were talking about being confident earlier. 90% of the time, if you're just confident in yourself and your ability, you'll naturally get girls, so to speak.
Right.
You'll naturally just do that. And those situations, like, what I try to do is I guess you could call it like pick up girls, like quotation marks,
right.
Pick up girls. Places where I'm more confident. Because like I'm not as confident in some areas. Mm-hmm. Like in the mornings, like I just go with the flow in the morning until I'm like more socially, calibrated. And then like at the end of the day, like in an environment where I'm more confident, then that's where I'll pick up girls,
right.
And like get their numbers or whatever, or talk to them more. So
yeah, I really do want to do a deep dive on that topic.
Yeah,
I think we have quite a bit of stuff to talk about there.
Yeah.
So we'll start next time we do a podcast. We'll start with that.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, thanks for everyone for listening. You can check out this podcast. Well, obviously, if you're here, you've already figured out how to get to this podcast. We'll be back with some more. It's been a long time since we've done one on this podcast in particular. But we'll probably be back with some more pretty soon. Peace. Nice. All right, that was really fun, guys.